European imperialism has a history going all the way back to Alexander the Great and later the Roman Empire. And since the time of Columbus, it was almost the favorite hobby of the European powers to carve up the rest of the world and divide it up among themselves and fight among themselves over it. When it comes to European imperialism in China, that had a different look. European powers were never able to conquer the massive nation of China with all its resources and its people in the traditional sense. What they did is they divided China up into zones of economic influence. So in this portion of China would trade with Russia, and Russia would trade with it, and Russia would dictate and manipulate the Chinese economy in this portion. And this portion would be France, and this portion would be the British. Heck, the British actually. I don't have anything in the current playlist about it, but because it's a little before our time and it doesn't involve the United States. But check out the Opium Wars. The British actually went to war to force China to allow them to deal the narcotic opium in China, and resulting in a devastating and crippling the original miserable opioid epidemic was the Chinese opium addiction epidemic. And so China was powerless to stop this, even though none of the nations could conquer them. This having its economy divided up, even though none of the nations could conquer them in a traditional sense. The United States had eyes on the Chinese market. Such a massive nation available to purchase American goods. And so as we have emerged as an imperial power and as a force to be reckoned with on the global stage, we now have the ability to kind of impose our will overseas. And so we advocated an open door policy, which ostensibly would give every foreign power equal trading rights in China. No more the Russians can only trade here and the British and French can only trade there. Everybody could trade everywhere, and yet we had the advantage. That would actually allow us, our intent was that would allow us to dominate the Chinese market in all of the former economic zones. I encourage you to read about this in more detail in section 22.3 of the OpenStax textbook. What I want to focus on now is the Chinese response. A number of Chinese had grown sick and tired of the rest of the world calling the shots and manipulating their economy. And so the group known as the Righteous and Harmonious Fists rose up in rebellion against all of these foreign powers operating in China, the United States included. It's known as the Boxer Rebellion because the Righteous and Harmonious Fists were skilled martial artists. What the next video is going to tell you is the interesting story of the international cooperation between many powers that are normally enemies that do not get along with one another in putting down the Chinese Boxer Rebellion. So that is the next video.